Good morning, everybody. Here we are again, the organic mechanic and the undisputed hydro weight champion of
Wow.
planet Earth, Harley Smith.
Thank you very much. Good to
Planet
be
Earth.
here again.
Yeah, my favorite part of the week. Want to appreciate all the comments and questions people have sent to us. And it's fun going through those and reviewing those and talking with you about those. And there's one right off the bat, uh, kind of an interesting question. It puts some thought into this, and there's such a variation. But the question is, what are the top 5 things you can do to your garden? Top 5. And so as we kind of discuss this and talk about it, I came up with a little list, and it's different. But the number one thing on my list, now we better start with number 5 and work down and do a big reveal for number 1. But
Okay.
all right. Number 5 on my list, and this is working backwards, would be consistency. That's not a product, but you need to be consistent with your regimen. You need to be consistent in your timing. You need to be consistent in your scheduling. That's kind of my number 5 working down. What are your thoughts?
That's a that's a good one on consistency. When someone talks to me about quality, I want to improve my quality. I want to improve my quality. I always say, okay, wait, it's quality and consistency because you want to have reproducible results. You want the high quality, but you want it be predictable from time to time, from round to round. And if you make too many changes, you're going to have different results. It's just the way it is. So yeah, quality and consistency is good. I was thinking a product and not you know, a goal, but that is definitely. I wouldn't even call that number 5. I'd probably put that higher on my list, quality and
Mm,
consistency. But as far as a product, um, my kind of the icing on the top, something you really don't need to have, but it's nice to have, and sometimes it makes a big difference, and that to me is the B vitamins. That's
Okay.
my number 5 product, kind of at the bottom of the line, but it's there. There are a lot of other products that, in special circumstances you could use it, right? Lots of
Mm-hmm.
those. But B vitamins, because at least the Kelp4Less ones, they have the magnesium sulfate as the carrier, which I think is great because the magnesium works synergistically with B vitamins. You know, the is a activator of enzymes. So, and also there are a lot of times where I want a little extra magnesium, and I don't need the extra calcium. CalMag isn't even on my list, but that B vitamins is, especially when the energy needs of the plants are the highest. Usually the magnesium needs are the highest too. So that's my number 5 go-to supplement in hydroponics.
Hey, good choice because you know what? B vitamin's kind of a sleeper. I mean,
Mhm.
it's kind of background. It doesn't get a lot of talk. The people that have discovered it and use it again consistently kind of goes hand in hand with my number 5. The Yeah, a lot of positives to using B vitamins, and yeah, we should probably talk about that a little more in another episode. An interesting
Mhm.
fact on the B vitamins for our customers that use our Grow and Bloom all-in-one formulas, we add the B vitamins to both of those in the Grow and the Bloom. Just small amounts. So it's another benefit of using our nutrient, regimen or our feed chart at kelp4less.com. So yeah, good answer. Yeah, I probably threw you off guard a little bit with my number 5, but boy, it
That's
went hand
okay.
in hand with yours. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, good. I got you down. Okay. And again, here comes my number 4, and I'm going to do it again. It's not a product. Common sense. Good common sense. There's some people, what happens is during some phases of your garden, sometimes you get a little bit, you want to do more. You get a little bit, I guess, turn into an emotional gardener. Oh, I got to do this. I got to add this. Well, and use your common sense. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it. Just use your head. Don't panic. Don't overreact. Uh, get the facts and just use common sense on your applications and your product choices. So throw
Okay.
another throw another one in there.
Yeah. Common sense. That's pretty good. That's we call it uncommon sense a lot of times.
There you go. Uncommon sense.
Yeah. I would say along with that, to measure is to know. The best growers, in my opinion, are the best record keepers. So where does that common sense come from? A lot of times it comes from experience, but if you're going to have quality and consistency, you have to have good records. You have to know how you do this every time. What changed? If there's a problem, the first question, what changed? And sometimes it's just common sense. Once you know that, what changed, it's pretty easy to come up with the answer. But if you're not keeping records, well, was the pH different? Was the EC different? Did I use different products? It's just your best guess. And a lot of times it comes down to best guess. But if you're a good record keeper, you can make a better guess, an intelligent guess, a common sense guess. So
Okay,
yeah,
there we
I'm with
go.
you on that.
From the
But
master.
my product number 4 though, I always called it my secret ingredient was yucca,
I
yucca
knew it.
extract. You knew I was going to say that's what did it. That's what sold me on the whole Kelp4Less and line. Was the first time I saw it at a show was the yucca, because I said, "Oh man, you've got the yucca right here. I can buy it off the shelf
Mhm.
and add it just a little bit, but it's a wetting agent. It makes the water wetter. Definitely add it to the foliar spray. Always add a little yucca. And I talk a little. Sometimes I can't even measure how little I put in there, a few little grains, because it's only what is it, 1/16 of a teaspoon for 5 gallons is all you really
Mhm.
need. Just a
Yes.
tiny bit. But it's great because it makes the water spread out on a thin film so that any of your foliar spray is more evenly absorbed by the leaves. And if you add it to some kind of an insecticidal types, natural insecticidal spray, it'll coat the eggs and coat the adults better. So yucca is the secret ingredient. And even in my biohydroponic fertilizer that I wasn't using for foliar, yucca was there. It helped keep my organics and my minerals in suspension with each other. Give it a little shake, it would foam up nice, aerate really well. And when you use it, the water disperses through the entire root zone and gets to all the developing root hairs. So that one is number 4. It's not, you don't have to have it, but it's a definite benefit to a growing strategy.
That's a good point. Yeah, your secret ingredient. And for the people that use our once again our Kelp for Less Grown bloom packs, we put a smidgen of yucca when we formulate and mix the product in every pound. So you'll get a smidgen. I forget the actual measurement that is. Is it 1/32 of a teaspoon? I don't know, but that gets a
That's good.
smidgen in every formulation. Yeah,
Yeah.
secret ingredient.
Yeah.
we there's been some research too that it shows that it actually stimulates the plant in a way too. There's some growth promoting stimulation that goes on with yucca too, and just a good overall thing to add in your blends like you just explained. So good choice. I like the yucca.
Yeah. Yeah. Other side of that, it has some antifungal qualities as well. The saponins are hormone-like molecules in it that deactivate the cell membranes of the fungi. So it has a nice secondary effect. And those same saponins that are in the yucca, the plant produces those naturally as part of its defense against fungi. So, it's not something that I would consider for fighting fungi. It's just beneficial to help the plant's resistance.
All right. All right. Okay, let's move on down the line here. Number three, my favorite, this will go back to product. My favorite go to, take the worry out, do it right, are our grow and bloom formulations.
Yeah.
Those products, if you're, you can be experienced, you can be new, you can be a first timer. And if you would just use our complete all-in-one grow and bloom soluble powders, we call it the foolproof method. If you just follow the directions, do it correctly, and work backwards on our list, use common sense and consistency, you'll have a good harvest. Whether it's tomatoes, cucumbers, if you do some other type of exotic growing, at our website, kelp4less.com, we have a tools section, and then we have a grower's guide, whether you're doing corn or potatoes or berries or greens or lettuces and things like that. And our growing guide really is focused on how to use our grow and bloom packs for whatever crop you're producing. So that would be my number three, our all-in-one grow and bloom packs. A little bit of everything in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't put it on my list, but of course for hydroponics, I mean, the essential is to have a good full spectrum grow and full spectrum bloom. You need base nutrients. You have to give the plant all the essential elements. You can add just the biostimulants. They're not going to work very well unless you have a good base for the nutrients to start with. And I like your all-in-one, obviously, again, because you don't have to buy all these other products and then figure out how to use them. Now, personally, I enjoy, being able to spoon feed and add a little of this and that at the right time.
Mhm.
But for some growers, gardeners, want to keep it
Yeah.
simple. You give them the nutrients, you give them some of the main biostimulants all at once. The microbes start to grow. The plant does better than it's ever done before. And hey, you just get to water it and harvest it. So yeah, I could see that. That wasn't on my list though, because I'm a little
Yeah.
more on the hydroponic side.
So I guess you can say my number three really is a good nutrient regimen. Um,
Hmm.
you know, I was just throwing out our easy formulations there, but yeah, good nutrient regimen.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be my zero would be would be the nutrients because I need a baseline. So yeah, there's no change for that. In fact, if I'm growing a crop I've never grown before hydroponically, whatever it is, or even a different strain or a
Hmm.
cultivar that I don't have experience with, I just go back to basics. I just go back to my grow and bloom, get my pH right, change the reservoir on schedule, and see what happens. Make sure I have the good environment and just watch them grow. And that becomes my baseline. And I've said this before, my third grow is my first grow because the first time I just want to see what the plants look like and how they grow and what they do. Let's go through the stages. The second one is where I do my problem solving that I saw for the first grow, make some small changes. And my third grow, that's where I get my quality and consistency that we talked about. Yeah, so that was number three. But my third product on the list is the amino acids.
Mm.
It's really in my top three because for hydroponics, I recommend it highly. If you're growing in cocoa, especially where you're high in potassium and magnesium and low in calcium, if you have hard water, always add it, amino acids every time you water. Um, if it works along synergistically with some of the other products too that we haven't gotten to yet. So it's a chelator. It helps keep some of the nutrients soluble. It stimulates the uptake of calcium, especially. And if you get strong calcium uptake, stronger stems and leaves, the plant can transport water and nutrients all through the plant. And the more efficiently plants take up water and minerals, the more chemical reactions they do, the higher the Brix. So amino acids, high on my list.
Oh boy, that's a good one. And once again, uh, it goes back to our all-in-ones, Grow and Blooms. There's a lot of amino acid in both of those. A little bit more in the Grow formulation than the Bloom formulation. But boy, with your list, we're nailing it on our all-in-ones. Everything on your list, we've got it in. So boy, it makes me feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Now, I agree with you on that one. Here is my number two on the list, and
Drum roll,
good
please.
prepared soil. Good
Oh, yeah.
prepared soil. That's my list. Uh, boy, yeah. The more time you can spend prepping, preparing, amending, uh, adding organic matter, pHing, set your soil up for success. That's my number two. It's hard to buy good soil, but you can buy usable soil and then make it really good. And so any bagged soil, I know everybody's has their brands or their kind that it's go to, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's bagged soil. You can make that really good. The addition of some microbials, inoculate it, enzymes, some of the biostimulants that and the organic mill and things like that to really, really uh, get your soil prepped up to go. So that's my number two. Good soil.
Okay, well, my number two is hydroponic. In hydroponics, I was kind of going back and forth, humic acid or fulvic acid. In hydro, I lean toward fulvic acid because humic acid has both humic and fulvic acids. That would be my number two for soil because it makes a bridge. The humic acid makes a bridge between the clay particles, if you have heavy soil, and the minerals, makes it easier for the plant to take them up. Fulvic acid, though, for hydroponics, they're smaller, more biologically active molecules. They're intermediate chelators, so they help keep nutrients in suspension, and they add a lot of trace elements, beneficial trace elements that aren't in your base nutrients that have a beneficial effect. That's what they're called, beneficials. They help stimulate the immune system of the plant, help condition against stress. They have an effect on cell division and even on photosynthesis. So it's a very small amount again, but it's adding something that is not in your base nutrient. Also, it's great for the uptake of iron. Iron is one of the limiting factors in soil or in hydroponics because it's so pH dependent and it oxidizes so quickly. So when it oxidizes, it turns to rust and the plant can't take it up. I'm amazed, well, semi-amazed that plants even were able to adapt on this planet because of the lack of the ability to uptake iron in oxidized form. But luckily, again, there's microorganisms that help solve that problem. If they wouldn't have been there first to to help the plants, I don't think with the iron availability, they might not have made it. But as a gardener, I like to give it a little bit more, make it a little easier for plants to take up the iron because that's so important for the electron transport chain, for photosynthesis, important for the metabolism of the plant to unlock that energy and use it to activate and drive the chemistry of life. Um, and all these other beneficials that go along with it. This is again icing on the cake.
Okay, I couldn't agree more. The fulvic acid powder, again, it's an essential ingredient in our Grow and Bloom formulations for many of the reasons you just pointed out. And we get a lot of questions that people ask, should I use fulvic? Should I use humic? What's the difference? And for basic terminology, what we like to tell people is of these organic acids, an easy way to categorize it in your mind is the fulvic is kind of the lower pH of of these complex carbons. that we're using if it comes from Leonardite. A lot of the fulvics and humics do come from Leonardite, and we prefer our plant-based fulvic acids. A little bit different, carbon molecules, little bit different enzymatic uh, extraction methods rather than chemical extraction methods. So, yeah, good point on the fulvic. That's a good key ingredient. So I can see why that's your number two. All right. Okay. And then I think I already know what your number one's going to be,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It might be
it's
yours too. I'm not sure.
not going to be a surprise. But again, I'm throwing in a curveball. The number one thing for a successful garden, again, it's not a product, it's the gardener. It's the
Uh,
gardener, number one on my list. All this other stuff is useless unless the gardener is there. So that's my number one thing. The best product you can do for your garden is learn more about gardening, become a better gardener, and go down my list. It all kind of makes sense coming back to my number one answer.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. The gardener. That's it. That's why it's a garden. It's not a gardener. It's not a garden without a gardener.
There you go. That's
Um,
right.
yeah. Of course. That's it. That's our job. That's why we're here on this planet,
Yeah,
supposedly,
that's what
is to be
you're
able to,
doing. Yeah, you're trying to help, gardeners become better.
yeah, work with nature in an intelligent way. Give just to give it a little boost in the right direction at the right time. Otherwise, it's just up to nature to do itself. And well, if you were going to go with that, I would say beyond the gardener is, of course, the environment. There's no there's no way that you can grow a great garden without the right amount of light and temperature and
Yeah,
air movement. I mean, it doesn't matter what products you use, it's not going to work. So, but again, that's something in for outdoors, you're kind of subject to the weather. I've had, I got an email this week, Brandon, from someone that says, well, I want to grow the tropical strains in Canada. It says, how can I extend the growing season? I'm thinking, oh man, then you got, can you add light? Oh man, outdoors. I'm thinking, man, this is good. Do a greenhouse. You're not going to do outdoor. You're not going to grow oranges in Michigan. I don't care what you do. you know, you need the sunshine state to make all those oranges. But never mind. But if I'm going to my
yeah,
number one product, and you know what it's going to be, right? After you
yeah,
have the base nutrient, once you have an environment, once you have a little education, number one, adding on one thing only, kelp. That's it. I mean, every gardener should have kelp on the shelf because you can use it in so many ways. You can use it as a seed soak to get better germination rate. You can use it as a root drench to get better rooting, better, more lateral root growth, more root mass. You can use it as a foliar spray to break the apical dominance, get more lateral bud development, pull the nutrients into the tissue, perfect for stage zero of mother plants. So there's so many different applications, common applications for the garden that you have to have kelp there for when you need it. And I like to just add it with every watering too, just because you want active root growth from the beginning all the way to the day of harvest. So why not stimulate roots all the way? Um, yeah, so
yeah,
kelp plus between the kelp and the humic or fulvic acid, those two are synergistic. They work together better than they work separately, and they add over 62 beneficial trace elements. Some of those are from the sea. So yeah, that's my number one go-to beyond my base nutrients and environment. That would be the one thing I would add in hydroponics every time.
yeah. Almost every conversation we have, it always comes back to kelp.
I know
Always. Yeah,
it is
I love it.
proven.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's proven for benefits, and it's been used for generations, and it goes beyond the fertilizer value that the kelp provides.
absolutely. And once again, we put it in our all-in-one formulations in our Grow and Blooms. And yeah, a kelp with every watering, even if it's just an eighth of a teaspoon per gallon. I mean, just every watering can really help the overall scope of the nutrients you're using, the plant health, everything. It does tremendous things. I want to I want to go back to my number one too, the gardener, the grower.
Mhm.
So spend some time improving that number one product. Spend some
Mhm.
time, you know, take Harley's course. Yeah, become that number one. Become that gardener. Yeah, take Harley's course, and it'll really be beneficial long term.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes,
it's really all about the plants. The more we understand the needs of the plants, the better we as gardeners can help meet those needs. So that's really what it's about. I want to say something about my classes. It isn't Harley's way of growing plants. It's not the way I do it. I really go deep into the plant science, understanding how to use the products, what's in them, how they work, and how best to apply them. But it's up to the gardener to make the final decisions, and it's up to, and the final judge is the plant. So if the gardener's making the right decisions, then the plant will respond and pay him back.
excellent. Well, there you go. Harley Smith and the Organic Mechanic, top five things or top five products for your garden. That was kind of a unique way to answer that question. There's so many variables involved, but yeah, we touched on a lot of topics.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, and I see how often all in one came for the beginners. Also for the beginners, when I in my classes, I really want to concentrate on the basics. Because you can get the best bang for the buck by getting the right light environment, get some nice air movement, get your pH and EC right in the right zone, nothing toxic, nothing deficient, just basics. You don't have to be a brain surgeon, or a rocket scientist to grow good plants. If you just get the good baseline first, then after that, you say, oh, wait a minute, I can improve. I can get my bricks up a little better. I can add some trace elements at the right time, or I can stimulate my root growth early on. Those kinds of things. But yeah, keep it simple, and then build on a good foundation. That's a recipe for success.
All right, great. So, yeah, for our viewers that watch us again, thanks for tuning in. Keep the questions coming, questions and comments, and we'll do our best to address them.
Yeah.
It's really good. You know, we almost have both sides of the spectrum here. You know, the hydro and the soil, the indoor and the outdoor, and it all meshes together somehow.
Yes.
It all comes together. So,
Yep.
boy,
That's
once again, appreciate your time.
okay. Well, guys, look forward to seeing you next week. I can hardly wait.
No, me too. Now I have to go to work. Darn it. Ah.
Yeah. Now I've got to prepare for a difficult lesson tonight in my class. Tonight I'm doing soil microbiology, like inoculants and compost teas, and I go into the superstars, all of the individual microbes, what makes them superstars, and how they work together. But it's such a complex subject that I have to spend a couple hours every time I do this class just to review. So I'm going back to work too.
Okay, all right. Maybe you can show them some clips from uh, our one podcast where we did the large scale microbials.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's maybe I yeah. Let's see here. Let me think about that. I might be able to take some of the couple of the pictures and pop them into my PowerPoint.
There you
Okay.
go.
Anyway, see you next week. It was a pleasure as always.
Yeah, you bet. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.